All right. How's it going, everybody? Hello and welcome to our session. Thanks for joining. The session is What's New with Cortana and the Skills Kit. So I just wanted to say, thanks everybody for joining us today. There's a lot of cool stuff going on at Build, a lot of sessions, an awesome expo. So thanks for taking the time here to be with us to talk about Cortana. So we're going to talk today a little bit about Cortana the product, some of the features, and this concept of extensibility. And then I'm going to pass things off to Andy, who will go through some live coding demonstrations for how to build Cortana skills and some of the new features that are available in the Skills Kit. My name is Stephen McMurray. I'm a product manager on Cortana, and Andy is a member of our software engineering group. So to start things off today, I wanted to talk a little bit about why it is that we're building Cortana. And we're building Cortana to be the personal assistant that helps people get things done on the go, at home, and at work. And we're trying to make Cortana the best assistant for busy people who need help in achieving more. So as we build Cortana, we think about four main pillars that we keep in mind. And the first pillar is productivity. So with Cortana, we provide users access to all of their M365 products and services. And you can think of Cortana as the intelligent layer that sits on top of those useful experiences. And we can create unique features based on top of those services. Some of these features are things like commitment reminders, where Cortana can notice that you may send an email to somebody saying, hey, I'm going to send you this deck tomorrow. Well, she can remind you that you made a commitment to this person and say, hey, don't forget to send them this deck. Did you do it? Do you want me to create a reminder for you? Do you want to check it off your list? Do you want to add it to your to-do list? Some other things are our feature like it's time to leave. So Cortana can look at your calendar, notice that you may have booked a meeting across town, check the traffic, and proactively say, hey, it's probably time for you to get going to leave for your next meeting. The second pillar that we use to build Cortana is that Cortana is unbounded. Because she's not bound to any operating system, she can be wherever users are. And for skill developers, this means your skills can run wherever users are. And for those of you who saw the keynote, this includes having your Cortana skills run on the millions of Alexa devices that are out there. The next one is extensible. And this is where you come in as a developer, to teach Cortana to do new things. And the majority of today's session, we're going to spend time talking about this pillar and how to extend Cortana. And the fourth one is personal. By getting to know our users, Cortana can learn more and create unique and intuitive and tailored experiences to her users. And when we look at Cortana in the context of Microsoft's bigger AI vision, we see Cortana as the agent that provides users access to their Microsoft applications and services. And in addition, we empower you as developers to access these same applications and services through our Microsoft Graph API set. On top of that, we have our intelligence suite through cognitive services with tools like the bot framework, where you can actually build intelligent applications. And of course, we give you all the infrastructure tooling that you need to build, manage, and deploy your application in the cloud in Microsoft Azure. So out of the box, Cortana ships with a number of helpful skills. She can easily help users access their calendar, play music, send messages, and make calls. But this is only a fraction of what Cortana can do today. So when we think about extensibility, we typically think about two ways to extend Cortana. Two different axes is the way I like to think about it. The vertical axis is teaching Cortana new skills. And this all happens with the Cortana Skills Kit. The second one of those is putting Cortana in new places, or the horizontal axis. And this is done through our Cortana Devices SDK, which is still currently in private preview. So when we look at what's new since our last build session, we've done a number of things to empower developers to create new experiences. Some of these we'll go through today, such as the new web app bot service, adaptive cards, and mid-flow authentication. Now, in addition to that, we've been experimenting with putting Cortana in new devices, such as the Harman Kardon Invoke, which is now publicly available, and also the Johnson Controls Glass, which we actually have a demo of set up at our demo booth. So I encourage all of you guys to come by and check out the new thermostat that actually has Cortana embedded right into it. But aside from hardware devices, we've also been putting Cortana into software applications, as you can see with our integrations in things like Skype, Teams, and even Alexa, as I mentioned earlier. So as we look at extensibility and extending Cortana, and talking about teaching Cortana new skills, we provide a set of tools to help you get up and running. And we call this our Cortana Skills Kit. So we have tools for dialogue management, and this comes by way of the bot framework. We have tools for language understanding intelligence, and this comes from Lewis. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we have a whole host of tools through Microsoft Azure to help you deploy those applications into the cloud. And over this past year, we've spent time iterating on ideas to understand how developers want to build skills that integrate well with Cortana. We've learned a lot from these iterations, and we're happy to announce that we're rolling all of these learnings into the bot framework, and that the bot framework is now the center of our offering for conversational services at Microsoft. So here are some of the innovative partners that are actually building Cortana skills that are actually available in the Cortana skills repository today for users to try out. One of my favorite skills is Expedia. I'm a big fan of Expedia because I travel a lot. And in doing so, I can never remember exactly when my flight leaves. So what Expedia has done is made it really easy for me to check that time. So instead of me having to navigate to the Expedia website or open the Expedia app, I can actually just open Cortana, tell her to ask Expedia about my upcoming flight, and in this I'm demoing the new text input feature on Windows. So when I do that, Cortana is going to actually get connected to Expedia, log me in, check out when my flight is coming, and I actually do have an upcoming flight to San Jose here in just a few weeks. So as you can see, what's typically multiple steps for users, with Cortana we can make it a very smooth and seamless experience. So to deep dive into the skill building experience in particular and show you how to create these type of experiences, we're happy to announce that now building your first Cortana skill is easier than ever. What used to be numerous steps across multiple portals, we've been able to actually get it down to just a few steps, and all happens through one single portal. So to demo building your first Cortana skill, here's Andy Wigley.
Thanks very much, Stephen. OK, so here we are in the Azure portal. Just a show of hands, how many of you have built a bot before? Yeah, half the room. So you will know that it kind of used to be, OK, you create this over here, and then you go to another website, and you cut and paste stuff, and then you go edit web.configs. So there was a lot of little steps. With the new Azure bot service, we've really made this a really simple thing. So I'm going to show you how that works. So first of all, I'm going to go up and create a new resource. Now, the Azure Bot Service is down in the AI and machine learning category in the Azure Marketplace. And in fact, if I just go to See All, we can see all the different categories in here. And over here, you can see there's a whole bunch of machine learning things here. And then we've got this bot service category. So there's the web app bot, which is an Azure web app hosted bot. There's a bot channels registration if you've got your bot hosted on a different endpoint. And then if you want to go serverless, you can create a bot right here using Azure Functions. So another easy way of creating a bot. I'm just going to choose the web app bot thing here, hit create. And you just have to fill out this dialog here. So I'm going to create it, I'm going to give it the name of the Build 2018 New Demo. And hopefully, there we go, that's good. Choose my subscription. I can create a new resource group or use an existing one. Create a location. So from where we are, I think West US would be the obvious one. And then there's pricing. So you've got good quality of service with the paid S1. But you can actually get started for nothing. So you can choose the free tier there. There's an app name, which is what the Azure website where the URI is going to be. And then down here, we've got the bot template. So this is your getting started templates. And we create a few of them here. First of all, you notice at the top there, you can choose C# or Node.js. You've got templates for both of those. You can use other languages, of course, as well, but the getting started templates are offered in these two languages. Basic is just a simple echo bot. Then there's a form flow bot, a language understanding, which uses our Lewis cognitive service, so you can actually, it's got built right into it, the ability to recognize natural language, which obviously for speech-enabled bots is a pretty good starting point. There's a Q&A maker-based one and a proactive one. I'm just going to leave it on the basic one for now. And then go scrolling down the options. Then there's an app service plan. So this is how you are you're going to be charged for this. And then Azure Storage. You need some Azure Storage to store the bot state in between turns. So we can create a new one there. Finally, Application Insights, which is the monitoring for your website. So if you get crashes and performance stats and all that kind of stuff, so you can set that on. And then down here, this is the bit here, the Microsoft App ID and password. So those of you who put your hands up who've built a bot will know that this was something you had to go off and generate on another site, and it would copy and paste this stuff and then set your web.config up. Well, with the Azure Bot Service, that's just automatically generated for you. It sticks the values right into your Azure website settings, and then the code can just pull them out of there without you having to do anything. And then you hit Create. Now, I'm not actually going to do that right now. It's really quick. It only takes like a minute or a few minutes, but this is only a short session, so rather than us wait for that to happen, I'm just going to go back and discard that, and we're going to head back and just look at one that I created earlier. So going back to my dashboard, and over here, this guy. So this is exactly the same as, it's just the standard bot template. And in here, it's an echo bot. The standard hello world for bots is just an echo bot. So you input a message, and it will echo it back to you. So I can just test that out right the way in the test in the web chat thing here. So we're now talking right from the portal. You've got a nice easy test thing, and you say, hello. And it calls up the bot, and it just echoes back, and it puts a number on it. So hi build 2018, and then it gets 2 on it. And then the other thing you can then do is you can reset the count. And that's all it is. That's the entire logic of this thing. You see we get a nice little yes-no dialog up on here. So I can say, yes, I want to reset the count, and it'll come back and it tells you that it's done it. And that's it. This is the kind of canonical hello world for the bot world. So now, what about making this work with Cortana? So we go to channels. So those of you who built bots will know that the whole point of this is that you can write your code once and enable it for a number of different channels. And actually over here, we can see that there's some featured ones, but there's a whole bunch of these guys. Here's Cortana and Direct Line, which is how your apps can talk directly to it, Teams, Skype, but down here is a bunch of others, Facebook Messenger, Kik, Skype for Business. You can see all the different options there. At the moment, we've only got the web chat one enabled, but I'm going to enable the Cortana channel. So this is the Cortana channel registration page, which is brand new in here. And you essentially have to fill in some of these things here. So we've got build 2018 demo is just the display name that users will see, so we can make that nice and readable. Invocation name is important. So this is the magic phrase that people will use to invoke your bot. And I'm going to use show demo. For that, you need to give it a description. And then a bit further down, you have to give it a category. So I'm going to give it a education category. And then you can give it some subcategories if you want. They're optional. You could give it some tags. We'll talk a little bit more about this later on in the session. But they're important for discovery and classification. And then there's a few other things that, again, are user profile data and authentication, which I'm going to come on to on the second demo in this. But then we can just save our Cortana channel details here. And while that's saving, I'll just point out, so when you're saving it in here, you're enabling your new skill in developer mode. So in order to test it, you need to be signed into the Azure portal. You need to be signed in with an MSA. And you can see there I'm using andy.wigleyfd@outlook.com. And also down here in Cortana, you also need to be signed in with the same one. So as you can see there, I'm also signed in with andy.wigglyfd@outlook.com. So we've got everything aligned in terms of being able to test this thing. All right, so the Cortana channel is enabled in here, and now I can type into here ask show demo hello build conference, and we can hit enter on that. It's now the first time we ever access a skill. It's going to ask for permission because we have to share the utterance, needs to go up to the cloud, and we can analyze and turn the text and get the text from that. So I can say, yes, I'm happy for you to have that. And then it echoes back with just the same as you saw in the chat window. Now let's just try something with the speech. Tell show demo, hi there. So now you'll notice it has worked in that we invoked with speech and we got a response, but it's not talking to us yet. That's because the templates that are provided in the portal are enabled for chatbots, text-based ones, but not right out the box for speech ones. So we need to do a little bit of programming here. Now, one of the options on here is bot management is this build thing here. So this gives you instructions on how to work with your code. So you can actually open an online code editor, so you can make some changes, simple changes, right here in the portal. We can go and you can actually download it and use and then edit your code in your favorite IDE, such as Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. And then you could set up, you could actually set up continuous deployment. So maybe you're submitting your changes up into GitHub or something like that, and then the changes will automatically get deployed to Azure. That's all the different options for that. For this first demo, I'm just going to use the online code editor. So that takes you into a new window, which gives you a window right into all of the files in the portal in here. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see. And right here are all the files. And if I go to in dialogues folder, this is where the logic for our bot sits. And you can see this is all of it. You'll see that there's a message received async. Here we're looking for the phrase reset, and this is where it put that dialogue up with, are you sure you want to reset the count? And it put that yes, no up there. But this is the main one. This is the echo bit. So if it's not reset, then it just echoes it back. And this is where the count was shown, and you said whatever it was that has come into the bot. So that's the logic as it is. But we need to make just a few changes in order to make sure that we can actually get some speech out of this. Well, let's start down from the top. So first of all, this prompt dialog.confirm this. This is the text-only version. But let's put in here a new option here, which is a prompt options object, which actually expands out from just the text-based responses. So here's the prompt property, which is the text that will be sent back sent to the user with the yes/no dialog for text-based clients. Retry is if they typed in something it didn't recognize. And then we get onto the speech one. So this is for a speech client or a client that supports speech. It will actually speak out as well. Do you want me to reset the counter? And then again, there's a retry speak as if it didn't understand you. And then it's a prompt dialogue, a couple of options on there and a default styler. And to use that, well, we just use a different override of this where we can, instead of the options there, hang on, that didn't work. There we go. Get rid of that. And instead, we plug in our options object. So now that's all set up for supporting speech as well. Now, what about the kind of default here? At the moment, post async is for text-only bot clients. So there's a new override, or different override, on a new method on it called say async, which I'm going to just pull this out and put it ahead of this bit of code, paste that in there, and instead of incrementing it in there, I'm just going to say that's going to be the first parameter on say async is for text clients, and then we can put in a second parameter, which is for speech clients, which I'm just going to copy and do the same thing for now. But of course, you can change absolutely what it is. Let's say you spoke. And we're going to send back the same thing. And there is a third parameter as well, which is important with speech responses, which is the input hint. So we're going to create on this a new message options, which this is what this parameter is, a message options object. And I'm going to initialize that object by setting the input hint property is equal to input hints dot, and then we've got three options for this. The first one is ignoring input. So this is where your bot can just send messages, and we're going to ignore any input from the user. So it allows you to kind of do a working on it, keep on sending some stuff, send back the response in pieces. There's a expecting input, which is where we've asked a question. So we're expecting the user to say something. And the good thing about that is if you send that to a client like Cortana on Windows, it will automatically enable the microphone. So the user doesn't have to go and click on the microphone to say anything. And then the last one is accepting input, which is the one I'm going to put on here, which is, well, you can say something if you like, and we'll accept it, but the user might choose to stay quiet. So that's that. And then the final bit is with these ones, again, post async is for text ones. So again, we've got a secondary option on there, which we can set the same, and there again. Say async, and paste that in there. Actually, count not reset. Anyway, so you can get the idea. We can kind of play around with this and give a tailored response for speech clients. Okay, I think that's everything. We're probably in good shape to actually try this now. You notice as you do the changes in the online thing, it just saves it changes incrementally as it goes on. Now, the way you then deploy these changes, you have to run build.command in the console. So you can right-click on build.command and then run from the console, and it runs up the console. It's actually going to do a full deployment, an MS build on these code changes, and deploy it back up into the website. So it's handling the .NET application deployment, and there'll be a number of steps. It's kind of similar to the build dialog you see in like Visual Studio or something. It's doing the same things. So we're just checking everything in the NuGet packages. Says everything is already installed. So this will just take a few seconds to deploy back up to our Azure website. Finished successfully. Okay, so now we can just test in the web chat to make sure everything's still good in here. Waiting for that connection to come through. Maybe I'll just try it in Cortana on here. Oh. Ask, show, demo. Hello there. Go on. The bot's not talking to us.
I'm sorry, something went wrong.
I'll just
try it again in a little bit.
Sometimes when you've just done a new deployment, it takes a little while to run it up. So I'll just try this again. Ask, show, demo. Hi there.
2, you spoke hi there.
Okay, so there we go. So we've got text response coming back on the screen. We've also got visuals. We've also got speech. And it's not just on Windows, of course, as well. So we've got here an iPhone device. Okay, you can tell me you can see how often I use these things. Ask, show, demo, hello world.
2, you spoke hello world.
Now, she did speak to me, but you may have heard it very distantly. We haven't got the audio on this. But of course, it's working fine on iOS, works fine on Android, Cortana on Android. It works great on a speaker like this, the Signin Card. So, but we haven't got time to show you all of those. So that's how you get started, really easy with the Azure Bot Service. And you saw basically there most of the kind of essentials of the code changes you need to make to an existing bot to support speech clients. Okay, I'll hand on back to Stephen now.
Thanks, Andy. So as you can see, we focused a lot of effort on creating a developer experience that is really easy and intuitive for you to get up and get started in building your first Cortana skill. Now, in addition to that, what we've really focused our time and effort on is building features which empower you as developers to create rich user experiences. Because we know that building bots and building conversational agents, oftentimes you want them to be multimodal. And because you're a developer, you probably want to put a combination of voice, images, buttons, and other UI elements all inside of your application to create a really rich experience. And with our goal to put Cortana everywhere, presenting these UI elements quickly becomes extremely challenging because you have to adapt to all these different devices that the user might be on. So we're happy to announce today that we've added support in Cortana for adaptive cards, which is a new framework for building adaptive UI. So in addition to that, we've added features around authentication. So now instead of explicitly forcing users to sign in when they first launch your skill, you're able to ask a user to sign in on demand using a feature that we call implicit auth. And of course, if oftentimes you as a developer want to stream audio back to your user, we've added support for audio streaming as well. So to give you a demo of how you can add some of these features to your Cortana skill, I'm going to pass it back to Andy. Ready?
Okay.
What number are you?
Right, so I'm slightly concerned because we seem to have lost connection with dev.botframework.com, which lies behind a lot of this stuff. So let me press on, and we'll hope by the time we get to this that we can reach it again. So I've got a really simple bot here, which actually, let me try the Bot Framework Emulator to talk to it rather than the built-in capability. It's a really, really simple one at the moment, just a bare bones. Okay, here we go. And it's up at build 2018 Cortana Skills to Azure Websites.net. So this is one of the tools you can use for talking to bots, which is the Bot Framework Emulator. And I'm going to try and connect to this up on Azure Websites. And you can see the basic dialogue here. I say, make me a mixtape. And the idea with this is it will be, when we finish it will play music to you using our new audio streaming. So it finds a song to play, and then you'll say something like, okay, play me a song. Here's a song for you. It's nothing actually kind of happening at the moment. It's just bare bones dialogue. And then you'll say, save this song. And the idea of this skill is that it can then allow you to sign in using our mid-flow auth. So it can then kind of sign into your Microsoft account, and it could save the song up into your OneDrive or something like that. But obviously, to do things like that, the skill needs to be authenticated to enable access to those kind of features. But at the moment, this is all we've got in here. So we've just got these little bits in here. So let's see if we can get to the channel configuration. I think we might have lost connection. The portal seems to just hit a glitch here. But most of what we need is already in place. So I'll leave that in the background. Essentially, though, it's a simple skill that's already got the Cortana channel enabled, and we're going to now build it out with some additional functionality. Now, the template that was used for creating this skill, if you remember those ones in the Azure Bot portal, one of them was the Lewis template. So we are using our Lewis.ai cognitive service here in order to allow us to use natural language. Now, in order to create a bot that responds to that, you simply have a bunch of methods in your main main dialog class, which are going to handle things that have come from the bot, from the Lewis service, with a recognized intent. So the user said some phrase, and the Lewis.ai said, okay, I think this is the mixtape intent or the none intent. So we've got you've got an attribute on these methods. So this one is going to handle the none intent, which means the Lewis.ai didn't recognize anything. This one is going to handle the mixtape intent. This one, the play song intent. And then finally, this is the save song intent. So what's an intent? Well, let's go and have a look over here. This is Lewis.ai. So I'm not going to go deeply into this, just to give you a flavor of what it is and how it works. The Lewis app model that we're using for this particular demo is this one here, Build 2018. And if you go in here, we've got those 4 intents: none, mixtape, play song, and save song. So just have a look at the play song, and you can see that we've initialized it with just 3 utterances, example phrases that the user might say. And actually, in a real kind of production Lewis model, you'd give it loads more than this. Lots of subtly different ways that somebody might ask for this particular function. You don't have to, the good thing about Lewis.ai is you don't have to have every single variant with every word. It has a knowledge of natural language and phraseology and this sort of thing. So if the user says something that's near one of these, it will still work, and it will pick up that this is the play song intent. And the other good thing about Lewis.ai is if the user says something that it's not really sure about, they all come back with a confidence factor. So ones that it's not sure about, the portal here will put it up into a pane where you can look at the things that people have said in actuality, and you can say, oh yeah, that was a mix song, this was a mixtape intent, and that was a play song one. And then you can relearn your model. So as people interact with your model, you can improve its accuracy. So it's a really powerful thing, and we're using it behind here. Now, there's not much in here, as you saw before. There was just those text things. So let's start adding in some things in here. So first of all, let's go and fix up the none intent up here. At the moment, it just says response.text. So I'm going to say add in the speech bit, which is response.speak, and I'm just going to initialize that to the same value at the moment. And finally, we're going to say response.input hint is equal to input hints. There we go, dot. And we're expecting input, so we're going to turn on the microphone because we've just given them we've just asked them a question, how can I help? So we're expecting them to say something. So that's our first kind of bit fixed up. Now finally, in the mixtape one, which is our kind of more general thing, well, I've got here a new bit of code. Now, in the channel editor, which I couldn't show you, I've actually asked for some user contextual information. This is stuff that Cortana knows about the user and is going to be passed through. So I've actually asked for their name to be passed through to the skill. So I'm going to pop in a new bit of code in here. And the name comes in the activity entities. So we're looking for the first entity that's been passed through to the skill, which has a type of user info. So if that is present, then we will pull out, and this is if it's not null, if that is present, then we're going to pull out the given name of the user. And the default, if we haven't got that, is just going to use stranger. So then we can use that in a more personalized message now. Welcome to Mixtape, Andy. Let's find a song to play. And you notice also we can specify SSML, so a speech synthesis markup language. So you can kind of do things like put in a pause, and you can play a little bit of a nice little bit of music along with it as well. So we put that in as well, and that's all good. Now, when we get to the play song thing, now here we actually want to play some music. So to stream music with a Cortana skill is super easy. All we need to do is create an audio card, and is equal to a new audio card, of course. And we're going to initialize that object. So I'm going to close that. And then in there, we're going to set the media property is equal to a new media URL array. And I'm going to initialize that as well. And that is going to have the value of a new media URL with a value of, and this is with a value of the path to that particular file, which we're just using I've actually put this song.mp3 as content. It's up on the website. So I just need to put in the whole Cortana Skills .azure websites .net/song.mp3. So that's our song.mp3. So that's our that's the thing. So that's all good. So now we've got that's the song we're going to play. Now also I want to put some. So that's going to be the audio bit. So that's taking care of some of the auditory stuff. But what about at the moment what the user is going to see? So at the moment we've just got this rather boring text here. Response.txt. Here's a song for you. Let me know if I should save the song. Well, that's okay. So that's what's going to be displayed on devices that have a screen, such as Cortana on PC or on the phone, which is great. But I want to do something a bit nicer than that. I want some more rich visuals. So for that, I'm going to use the new adaptive cards. So I'm sure you saw this in the keynote, and we're very excited about adaptive cards. So up here, I've got the website for adaptivecards.io, where you can go and look at samples and learn more about this framework. The whole point of adaptive cards is that is to get away from the old world, where you had to have cards. Visuals were very channel specific. They all had their own formats. And it was very, it was like, if Cortana do this, if Facebook Messenger do that, if something else, do something else. And it was tedious as a developer. Well, now with adaptive cards, you can define your content once using the adaptive cards language, and each platform will then parse it and present it appropriately. So again, we're kind of minimizing your work as a developer. And there's a whole bunch of samples on here where you can have a look at, and over here is over on the right, you can see what it looks like in one of the renderers. So there's an activity update, a flight itinerary, food order, and this one, a restaurant, where we've got this kind of layout. This one I quite like, and I want to have something similar on my Cortana skill. If you try it yourself on here, it takes you to the visualizer, where you can actually see not only here's the data that defines the adaptive cards, which is just a lot of nested objects, here expressed as JSON, and you can actually look at what it looks like in Windows Timeline, which was in the keynote this morning, Skype, Microsoft Teams, and of course Cortana Skills. This is what it's going to look like in Cortana. So I'm going to create a card in here that looks a bit similar to this, using this as my inspiration. So back in Visual Studio, first of all, I am going to have it speak out this bit as well, and then get rid of this, and I'm going to put into here another snippet. This is I've already added the NuGet package, the Adaptive Cards NuGet package to this application. And this exposes all of these nice objects. So you create a new adaptive card. That's particular, if we go just briefly back to the thing, it actually has two columns in it. So this is column 0, and this is column 1. So we're defining the same thing in code. Here's an adaptive column of width 2, so you've got relative weightings of the width, adaptive column of width 1. We add the columns to a column set, and then in each column we define items. Here's an adaptive text block, and you can kind of give it hints on the weight and the spacing. But as I said before, the actual way this will be presented is up to the platform. You create renderers for each platform, and we've been doing that with all of our stuff. So here's adaptive text block, and so this is all adaptive cards defined, and it will work on all of the different channels. And then we put our picture into column 1, and then at the bottom we have a button which is going to link to something on YouTube. And then we simply turn that card into an attachment and add it to the attachment on the response. So we've now got 2 attachments, this and our audio card. So that's actually pretty good. I'm now going to publish this. Oh, well, one more thing. Sorry, yes. Finally, the save song intent. So also in the channel config, I have defined the URIs for authentication for our skill. So there's the endpoints for the OAuth to endpoint and the token issuing endpoint. There's the scope. There's a bunch of stuff in there which defines the authentication for this. The way that you do this is the right way to handle this is to use a sign-in card here. But you don't want to show a sign-in card every time the user calls the skill. You only need to do this the first time they want to get into sort of the privileged bit of your skill code where they need to authenticate. So you can have a skill now that can start off sort of anonymous. You can offer a lot of things that are general to end users, but then when they want to do something where they need to sign into their account, at that point, you ask them to sign in. But they only need to do that once. So the logic flow for this thing is actually what you see here. So again, in our activity entities, similar to the username, we're looking for an entity of type authorization token. If the user has ever authenticated before, there will be an auth token in these entities that are passed into the skill. And Cortana will then handle the OAuth dance with and get refresh tokens and just passes through an updated token through to your skill code. But if they've never signed in, that will be missing. So we're looking for this here, okay? And if the access token is null, they've never signed in, so then we'll say sign in, and we'll display a sign-in card, and that will trigger the mid-flow auth, so only on demand when it's required. And that's what will happen. Now, subsequently, when they call it, that access token will have been filled in, and thereafter, every time, it will be in the entities. So then you can just carry on, and I haven't added the code here, but you can just carry on and use that auth token to sign into sort of MSA services and do whatever it is you need to do that's got privileged functionality. All right, so now our code changes are complete. I'm going to publish this up to the cloud, and then we'll just give it a quick quick try, and we should be, hopefully, if all's well. No, we've got a code problem. All right. Oh, dear.
We're missing one.
Yeah, but where?
The last one. You can put it on the end.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Well, hopefully, I'll just think I hope that doesn't indicate a problem higher up, but we'll find out in a minute. That's good, okay. So we've compiled it successfully, and sometimes it does do that, and usually you find if you just publish again, second time's a charm. All right, so that's the kind of indication, that's the kind of landing page. So let's give it a go. Ask build demo, what music do you have?
May I have your permission?
So first time I've used it, so yes, yep, I'm happy for you to do that. This may fail, like I said, it sometimes takes a little while in debug mode just to ramp up the skill after you've published. So I'm fully expecting to have to do this again.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
something went wrong.
I know. Okay, do this again. Ask build demo, what music do you have?
Here's a song for you.
So there's our
Let me
adaptive
know
card.
if I should save the song and we'll add it to your mixtape.
And it should be playing an audio card. Sorry? Oh, okay, all right. And then I'm going to say, save this song.
Please sign in with Build 2018 Cortana Skills.
And now that's the sign-in card, and it's triggering into the sign-in. So I'm just signing in, and there we go. And now it's asking for the password, and it won't do this again. So, and now it's going to come back and say,
there's a problem with the skill you've selected.
well, I got something wrong.
Please try again later.
But anyway, you get the idea. So there was all the bits in there to do audio streaming. There was the bits to do the adaptive cards and the mid-flow authentication. All new features that we've brought to the Cortana Skills Kit over the last year.
All right. So I'm looking at the clock, and it looks like we're about out of time. But before we wrap up, I did want to talk about one last feature that we've added to the Cortana Skills Kit. When we started looking at how people use Cortana, we noticed that they can easily expect that out of the box, Cortana can do a number of basic things, such as play music, set timers, etc. But what we learned is that users don't know how to interact with your skill, or even how to find out if your skill exists. So we're excited to announce that we're focusing our attention on making your skills more easily discoverable by users by a feature that we call Skill Discovery. So in the demo, you'll have noticed this new registration page. We're just one of a handful of companies in the world who are skilled at search. And we've taken what we've learned from Bing and created entirely new capabilities for Cortana. So when you input this information, not only does this information get shown to users, but we actually use this to power our search information to enable users to query on your skill using natural language based on the capabilities that your skill is able to handle. So this is the additional information that you'll enter. And what this means for you is that your skill basically becomes significantly more discoverable by users, even if they didn't use the invocation phrase of ask my skill to do this or open my skill. So this is a feature we're really excited about. It's called Skill Discovery, and you'll soon start seeing it show up in Cortana. I think we're out of time, but thanks everybody for joining our session. As a reminder, always complete your evaluation forms to win some prizes. So thanks again, everybody.